One other point I wanted to mention, I've never specifically mentioned this because some of you who are not that familiar with me, maybe you're newer subscribers, or maybe a combination of being newer, not that advanced in the investment realm, you probably think, well, gosh, he's just looking at technical analysis when he gives these forecasts. That's actually not true. I go by technicals. I show you the technicals because it's the best way, the easiest way I can illustrate to you areas of risk and probabilities. I can't show you valuations and so forth. It's just not reasonable to do that. But I can tell you what I do is that I look at the support areas, I look at the resistance areas, and I adjust that relative to valuations. I adjust that relative to what's going on in earnings, what's going on in the economy, economic forecasts, economic risks, market sentiment, so forth. So in other words, when I'm showing you strong support, let's say NASDAQ 4100, bottom end of that's 4,000 range, okay? But the top end of that 4,100, or then the Dow, let's say, the last support, the strong one, 16,000. When I'm talking about that support and I'm saying, well, that's, I think, the period we're going to enter. And I actually alluded to this last time. I said, unless we see something really bad, for the most part, you can paraphrase that, then the 16,000 is pretty much the bottom, and that includes down to the 15.8, right? What that means is that unless we see something outside of the range of my assumptions, then that should hold. Now, the problem for you is that you don't know what those range of assumptions are. But I'm looking at the realm of possibilities, right? So I know what's going on out there. I'm assuming certain things. The only question mark for you is specifically what would I be looking at? Well, of course, I don't have time to go through and list all the possibilities, right? And there's also unknowns. But that's why my forecasts have been spot on year after year, month after month. Because, first of all, I understand the technicals. Second of all, I understand the other factors. And third of all, I understand how to put the assumptions in and adjust for these risks. And fourth and finally, I've been lucky. I've gotten, everyone, if you're successful, especially over a consistent period, everyone has to attribute some of that success to luck. That's just the fact, okay? So I just wanted to make that point because I try and present this in a simple way, but it's not that simple. It's actually extraordinarily complicated. And it's so complicated that there's no way I could possibly provide a forecast that provides you with even the majority of what I'm considering. It would probably consume, each forecast would probably take post-editing 10, 12 hours to present. And there's just no way I could do that. Just keep that in mind. And that's why it's important, I keep emphasizing, to go back, review what's been going on. Even a year ago, if you have time, go back, listen to the forecasts from a year ago, right? And think back to what was going on. Think back to how things played out, okay? This is exercising your mind. It's just like a muscle, right? It helps you. It progresses you. Go back to the economic presentations that we gave as well. Go back and think about these things, and you'll get a better feel for what's going on, so that if you have a good understanding of the risks out there, of the charting, of the technicals and so forth, and you have a pretty good understanding of about what to expect in the norm, in the range of norm of possibilities, then more times than not, and I would argue many more times than not, the technicals are going to prove to be pretty accurate. Of course, there are situations where we break down from the technicals, right? Where things happen either I didn't expect or my realm of assumptions was not accurate enough. And what happens then? Well, then that is when things become a little tricky, right? So I wanted to explain that aspect of forecasting to you all to kind of give you a flavor of a sense of it's very, very subjective. And maybe I'm making it look too easy. I guess it's good because you understand it if it's looking easy to understand. But the bottom line is it's very complicated, okay? So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about economics, the bottom line economics you need to know. And as I mentioned in the emerging markets forecast, if you only care about the U.S. markets, make sure and watch the emerging markets forecast as well, because I include economics there that I may not include in this presentation.